All right, let's start with this. Find how many different 4-digit numbers can be made using only the digits 1, 3, 5, and 6 with no digit being repeated. Now that's pretty straightforward. You've got 4-digit number. So how many places do you have? You've got 4 places for that, right? And the digits that can be used are 1, 3, 5, and 6, and no digit can be repeated. If no digit can be repeated, that means you've got 4 choices for the first one, 3 for the next, 2 for the next, and then 1. So that's 4 factorial. Okay, so that's going to be 24. That's the first part, pretty straightforward. इसमें आपको सिर्फ 4 factorial से आपको direct result मिल जाता है because you've got 4 places and 4 objects, 4 things that you want to arrange in them. So that's pretty easy. Let's look at the second part now. The second part says, find how many different odd numbers greater than 500 can be made using some or all of the digits 1, 3, 5, and 6 with no digit being repeated. Now, let's think about this. So we want a number that is odd, first of all. It should be greater than 500. And these are the 4 digits that we can use. All right. Now, do we know what the number of digits is? As in, if it's a 3-digit number or a 4-digit number, we don't know that. So greater than 500, it could be a 3-digit number, or it could also be a 4-digit number. दोनों possibilities हो सकती हैं. ठीक है? Now let's think about the conditions. Remember, in such problems, what we do is we start from those places where you have some sort of condition. Now, one condition is that the number has to be greater than 500. That means this first number can only be a 5 or a 6. If you're talking about a 3-digit number, for a 3-digit number, the first number can only be a 5 or a 6. These are the only 2 numbers that you can place here, because if you place 1 or 3, then that number is going to be less than 500, and that is not going to fulfill the requirement. First number to 5 or 6 में से कुछ हो सकता है, इसके अलावा कुछ और नहीं हो सकता. That's one thing. Now, what about the last digit? Since this number has to be odd, end पे 1 भी आ सकता है, 3 भी आ सकता है, 5 भी आ सकता है. The only number that's not allowed is 6. 6 नहीं आ सकता. 6 के अलावा बाकी numbers आ सकते हैं. अब ये कंडीशन सारी एक टाइम पे आप नहीं हैंडल कर सकते, बिकॉज अब 5 यहाँ पे अगर आ गया तो फिर 5 एंड पे नहीं आ सकता. तो यू कांट से यू हैव 3 ऑप्शंस फॉर द लास्ट बॉक्स, बिकॉज अगर फर्स्ट में 6 आ जाए तो फिर तो लास्ट बॉक्स के लिए 3 ऑप्शन होंगी, लेकिन अगर फर्स्ट में 5 आ जाए तो फिर लास्ट बॉक्स के लिए 2 ऑप्शन होंगी. तो इसको हम डायरेक्टली हैंडल नहीं कर सकते अभी. ओके, तो हमें क्या करना पड़ेगा, हमें मल्टीपल केसेस बनाने पड़ेंगे. तो हम देखते हैं अच्छा केसेस किस तरह से बना सकते हैं. एक केस ये हो सकता है कि आप फर्स्ट बॉक्स के अंदर 5 डाल दो. दिस कुड बी वन पॉसिबिलिटी कि आपने फर्स्ट बॉक्स में कहा कि फर्स्ट में 5 होना चाहिए. ओके, that is one way you could have a number that is greater than 500. Another possibility could be that you say the first number here should be 6. That's another possibility. All right. तो आपने ये दोनों केसेस देख लिए. एक में आपने कहा कि फर्स्ट नंबर 5 हो जाए और एक में आपने कहा कि फर्स्ट नंबर 6 हो जाए. ठीक है, सो आपने ये थोड़ा सा रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया इस तरह से. Now it says it has to be an odd number. It has to be an odd number. अब odd number रखने के लिए अगर हमारे पास फर्स्ट नंबर 5 हो, तो अब दूसरी रिस्ट्रिक्शन क्या है हमारे पास, लास्ट डिजिट के ऊपर है. अगर फर्स्ट 5 है तो लास्ट डिजिट जो है इट कुड आइदर बी a 1 or a 3. These are the 2 options that we have for the last digit. So there are 2 possible cases for 2 options for filling the last box. इसको हम 2 ways में fill कर सकते हैं. Okay. Now, if you have filled this box, how many options do you have left for this box in the middle? आपने एक नंबर यहाँ पे यूज कर लिया, एक नंबर यहाँ पे यूज कर लिया, you have one number left, that so you have two numbers left, two में से एक आपको यहाँ पे put करना है. So you've got two options for this box as well. You multiply both of them, and the total number of cases that you get from this is 4. So the first case is giving you 4 different possible numbers. अगर आप first number में 5 कर दो, अगर आप first में 5 कर दो, last में 2 options हैं, so we have 2 for that. And then once you've filled the last box, you've got 2 numbers left. 2 में से एक आपको यहाँ पे डालना है. That's just 2. 2 times 2 gives you 4. So this is what we have. Remember, आपने कहाँ से देखना शुरू करना होता है?
Sir, can you
जहाँ
let
पे कोई
Halima in?
आपने शुरू कहाँ से करना होता है? जहाँ पे कोई ना कोई restriction होती है. Okay? तो
Sir,
आपने
can you let
इसलिए
Halima in?
yes, I'm looking at the waiting list. मैं करता हूँ. आपने शुरू कहाँ से करना होता है? जहाँ पे कोई ना कोई restriction होती है. ठीक है, वहां से आपने करना होता है. अच्छा, ये हो गया. Now, if you have 6 in the first box, now what happens? You've got 3 options for the last box. Remember, वहीं से आपने देखना यहाँ पे restriction है. First box में restriction आपने handle कर लिया है. अब last box में भी restriction है. Last box में क्या numbers आ सकते हैं? You can have 1, or you could have 3, or you could have 5. You've got 3 options for the last box. And once you've filled this last box, how many numbers are you left? Are you left with? You have 2 options left. So you have 2 numbers left for this second box, 2 options for the second box. So 2 times 3, the second case is giving you 6 different cases. All right, ये आपने 2 cases को handle कर लिया. Now there could be another possibility, and that possibility would be कि आपका जो number है वो 4-digit number हो जाए. That's also possible, right? That is also greater than 500. Now, any 4-digit number is going to be greater than 500. So in this case, there is no restriction on the first number. First number, जो मर्जी हो जाए इनमें से, 1, 3, 5, 6 में से, the number in any case is going to be greater than 500. So there is no restriction that we have for the first number. But we still have a condition on the last number because the last number has to be odd. उसके लिए कितनी options हैं हमारे पास? 1, 3, 5. So in how many ways can we fill the last box? We can fill the last box in 3 ways. And then what about the rest of them? इसके बाद आपके पास 3 इसकी options हैं, 2 इसकी options रहेंगी. ये बाकी तीनों के लिए बस it's just 3 factorial, right? So आप किसी भी order में चले जाओ, it doesn't matter. You can say this box has 3 options and the next one has 2 options after that, and the next one has 1 option after that. And you multiply all of them, and that gives the result. That's 6 times 3, which is 18. So the total number of cases, therefore, that you have is going to be 10 plus 18, 28. This is the total numbers you can make from this, given these conditions. Is this all right? Any questions on this? Any problems?
No, sir.
Okay. Let's have a look at the third part, the second part now, part B. Now, part B says 6 cards numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are arranged randomly in a line. Find the probability that the cards numbered 4 and 5 are not next to each other. Probability निकालनी है. And we're talking about arrangements. Now, you've got 6 cards. Okay, now 6 cards numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are arranged randomly in a line. Find the probability that the cards numbered 4 and 5 are not next to each other. Now, how do we think about this? Probability nikalni hai, we can find the favorable permutations, favorable arrangements, the arrangement that satisfy the condition, and then we can divide that by the total number of arrangements जिसमें कोई भी restrictions ना होती, right? So 6 numbers हैं, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. उनको आपने अरेंज करना है. टोटल अरेंजमेंट्स कितनी होंगी विदाउट रिस्ट्रिक्शंस? दे आर जस्ट गोइंग टू बी 6 फैक्टोरियल. उस पर तो कोई कंडीशन नहीं है. 6 फैक्टोरियल ऑफ 720, दैट इज योर डिनोमिनेटर. अब वो कंडीशन क्या है? 4 and 5 कैन नॉट बी टुगेदर. 4 और 5 को सेपरेट करना है. अब ये दो नंबर्स हैं, दो ऑब्जेक्ट्स हैं. दो ऑब्जेक्ट्स को सेपरेट करने के लिए आप कोई भी मेथड यूज कर सकते हो. जो दो हमने मेथड डिस्कस किए थे, इनमें वो दोनों चल जाएंगे. टोटल में से इनके साथ होने वाला केस माइनस कर दें. दैट्स वन पॉसिबिलिटी. वो भी कर सकते हैं इसके अंदर. या वो वर्टिकल लाइंस वाला मेथड कर लें, वो भी कर सकते हैं. ऑलराइट, दोनों में से आप कोई भी कर सकते हैं. इट्स गोइंग टू वर्क. तो लेट्स से हम यहाँ पे लिस्ट कर लेते हैं. वी हैव 6 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We need to separate 4 and 5. 4 और 5 को सेपरेट करना है, इनको सेपरेट करना है. तो हम करते क्या थे इसके अंदर? वी स्टार्ट फ्रॉम दोज ऑब्जेक्ट्स दैट वी डू नॉट हैव टू सेपरेट. 1, 2, 3, 6 को सेपरेट नहीं करना, राइट? So how many places do we have for 1, 2, 3, 6? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 numbers हैं, उनके लिए हमारे पास ये 4 places हैं. All right. Now in the middle here, we can place these two numbers 4 and 5, जिनको आपने सेपरेट करना है. अब उसके लिए क्या क्या ऑप्शन हो सकते हैं 4 और 5 के लिए? 4 and 5, they can either come here, मतलब one of them can come here and come here, here, or here. Of course, 5 options. Okay. Now, in how many ways can we arrange these numbers 1, 2, 3, and 6? We can arrange these numbers in 4 factorial ways in these positions. इनमें arrange करने के इनके 4 factorial ways आएंगे. And then for 4 and 5, when the first number comes, it has 5 options, right? And then the next comes, it has 4 options. So you could say 5 into 4. All right, that's one possibility. Another possibility could have been that you make it 4 factorial, and then since you've got 5 places, in those 5 places you have to arrange 2 objects. You could directly use 5p2 here as well, and that will also work. दोनों में से कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. Okay, 5 into 4 अलग अलग देख लें, या फिर आप डायरेक्टली कर दें. 5 places हैं ऑरेंज वाले, इनमें से इनमें दो ऑब्जेक्ट्स को प्लेस करना है, and that's going to give you the results. That's 24 into 5, which is 24 into 20. In fact, that is 480, right? ये आपके पास आ जाएगा 480. दोनों में से कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, या वो वाला मेथड भी यूज कर सकते हैं. टोटल में से इकट्ठे होने वाला केस निकाल दें. That will also give you 420. So there are multiple ways of doing this. Now, since you were looking for probability, तो यहाँ पे probability कैसे आएगी? Number of favorable outcomes, 480, divided by the total number of outcomes, 720, and that gives us 2/3, and that's the result that we get from this. Okay, 32. Let's do the whole thing. A chess team of 2 girls and 2 boys is to be chosen from the 7 girls and 6 boys in the chess club. Find the number of ways this can be done if 2 of the girls are twins and are either both in the team or both not in the team. Okay, so how many boys do we have? We have a total of 6 boys. And the second is the number of girls that we have is 7. Now we want a team of 2 girls and 2 boys. Okay, that's what you want. Now either the 2 twins can be in the team, Can both be in the team or both not in the team? So let's consider both of those cases. If both of those twins are in the team, T1 and T2, let's say they are both in the team. अच्छा, boys की तो कोई condition नहीं है ना. Boys का तो simply क्या होएगा? 6C2 here. What about girls? You have 7 girls in total. Out of those 7, you have selected these 2 already, और आपको total 2 ही select करनी थी. अब बाकी 5 में से कितने select करनी है आपको? कोई भी नहीं. So that's just 5C0. All right. The second option is that you do not select any of those 2 twins. Now there's no condition in boys again, so that's a 6C2. For girls, it was for girls you have 7 girls in total. Out of them, you are saying that you're not going to be selecting these 2. दोनों twins को नहीं select करा. What's the total number then? 5. उन 5 में से कितने select करने हैं? 2 select करने हैं. So that's 5C2. Evaluate both of these cases and see what the result turns out to be. 6C2 is 15, I think. 15 times 1, which is 15. And the second case is 15 into 10, which is 150. And that gives you 165. Okay, that's the first part. Make sense? इसी तरह का हमने एक और question उसने भी किया था पहले. This is what you would do in this case. All right. Now let's look at part B. Part B1, the digits of the number 1, 2, 4, 4, 6, 8, 7, they can be arranged to give many different 7-digit numbers. How many of these 7-digit numbers are even? All right, now we have 7 numbers, so we can make 7 boxes for this. Now we want the numbers to be even. Okay, अब even number होना चाहिए, तो last digit जो है, that should be an even number. That should be an even number. So we could either have a 2 at the end, or we could have a 6. 4 भी हो सकता है, in fact. 2 or 4 or 6 or 8. Now one possibility is कि आप इसके multiple cases बना लो. 2 का अलग से, 4 का अलग से, 6 का अलग से, 8 का अलग से. But you could do it a bit more efficiently like this. कि जो numbers repeat नहीं हो रहे. So for instance, 2, 6 and 8, they're not being repeated. उसको आप एक ही केस में डाल सकते हो. उसका कह सकते हो कि अच्छा, अगर यहाँ पे 2 आ जाए, या 6 आ जाए, या 8 आ जाए. How many options do you have for this? आपके पास ये 3 cases बन गए. 3 options आपके पास होगी for these numbers. For the last box, 3 options. 4 को हमें अलग से handle करना पड़ेगा. Why? Because अगर हम यहाँ पे 4 भी डाल देते हैं, तो फिर वो multiple cases बन जाते हैं कि अच्छा, यहाँ पे 4 आएगा, तो बाकी numbers में से कोई भी repeat नहीं हो रहा होगा, सारे numbers ही different होंगे. लेकिन अगर 4 के बजाय आपके पास यहाँ पे 2, 6 और 8 में से कुछ आए, तो फिर आपके पास 2 4s बच रहे होंगे, और उनमें फिर repetition भी आ रही होगी, repetition को भी handle करना पड़ेगा. So you have to handle the 4 in the last box wala case separately, and 2, 6, 8 separately, because वो 4 repeat हो रहे हैं, 4 repeat हो रहा है, और 2, 6 और 8 repeat नहीं हो रहे. Okay, इनको आप इकट्ठे handle कर सकते हो. क्यों? Because when you have 2, 6 or 8 here, you know in the remaining numbers you have 2 4s, and then you have 4 other numbers apart from that, और वो सारे एक दूसरे से different है, right? एक number आपने end पे डाल दिया, उसके बाद आपके पास क्या रह जाएगा? Let's say अगर आपने 2 डाल दिया end पे, बाकी numbers क्या रह जाएंगे? 1, 4, 4, 6, 8, 7. 2 तो 4s आ रहे होंगे, और बाकी चारों numbers जो भी होंगे वो different होंगे. Okay, so how many arrangements do you have for this then? You can start from the last box, जहाँ पे restriction है. And how many ways can we fill this last box? You can fill this last box in 3 ways in this case. So there are 3 possibilities for the last box. Now, what about the remaining boxes? You've got 6 other boxes. You can arrange those 6 boxes in 6 factorial ways, but then 2 of those boxes are identical. So we divide by 2 factorial because of that. That's your first case. And that is going to give you something. 720 over 2, that's 360. 360 times 3 is 1080. That's the first case. And now you have to consider that other case. जहाँ पे आपके पास 2 4s आ रहे हैं. What do we do about that? Now, let's quickly.
Sir,
Yes.
why did you multiply it by 3? Can you explain that again?
Because last box में हमारे पास 3 options है ना, 2, 6 और 8. So that 3 is coming from for those 3 numbers.
Okay, thank you.
अगर आप इनको अलग अलग निकाल लेते वो भी आप कर सकते थे. आप 2 वाला केस अलग से बना लेते. एक दफा आप 2 डालते, एक दफा और फिर दोबारा से बनाते हैं इसी तरह से. उसमें एंड पे आप 6 डाल देते, फिर एक और रिप्रेजेंटेशन बनाते, उसमें आप एंड पे 8 डाल देते. उन सब के इंडिविजुअली कितने वेज होते हैं? 6 फैक्टोरियल ओवर 2 फैक्टोरियल, इसके भी 6 फैक्टोरियल ओवर 2 फैक्टोरियल, इसके भी 6 फैक्टोरियल ओवर 2 फैक्टोरियल. तीनों को ऐड कर देते, दैट वुड गिव यू द सेम थिंग. ऑलराइट, बिकॉज़ दीस आर ऑल सिमिलर केसेस. मेक सेंस? तो अलग अलग करने के बजाय हम इसको इकट्ठा कर रहे हैं. यहाँ पे अलग अलग भी कर सकते हैं, दैट्स आल्सो फाइन. ऑलराइट,
Yes, sir.
लेट्स लुक एट द अदर केस नाउ. उस केस में हमारे पास क्या है कि हम एंड पे 4 डाल देते हैं. अगर हम एंड पे 4 डाल देते हैं, what are the other numbers which are left now? 1 2 4 6 8 7, they're all different. 1 2 4 6 8 7, ये numbers आपके पास रह गए. there are 6 numbers. इनको आपने 6 places में place करना है. And how many ways can you do that? That's just 6 factorial. All of them are different. This is going to give you 6 factorial, and that is 720. Add both of those numbers, and that's going to give you the result. 1080 plus 720, and that turns out to be 1800. That is your result.
8,300.
8300. 1080 plus 720, isn't that 1800?
Yeah, sir, sorry.
Okay. Yes, Iman.
Sir, could you repeat why we're not considering 4, 2, 6, and 8 together in one box?
Because देखें जब 4 आप प्लेस करेंगे तो बाकी नंबर्स देखें सारे डिफरेंट हैं. और जब आप 2 6 8 में से कोई प्लेस करेंगे तो उसमें फिर 2 4s आ रहे होंगे. You can't handle both of these cases together because अगर आप 4 एंड पे रखते हो तो बाकी अरेंजमेंट्स आपकी 6 फैक्टोरियल बनती हैं. अगर 2 6 8 में से कोई एक रखते हो तो बाकी अरेंजमेंट्स आपकी 6 फैक्टोरियल डिवाइडेड बाय 2 फैक्टोरियल बनती हैं. तो ये दोनों इकट्ठे नहीं हैंडल कर सकते, इसलिए आपको अलग अलग करना पड़ेगा उसका इस तरह. Is that okay?
Thank you. Yeah.
Sir, I still don't get this part.
Can you be a bit more specific? Exactly क्या problem आ रही है?
Sir, like the same question that why are we not considering those cases? I don't understand the reasoning behind it.
I have the same answer. So what exactly do you not understand in the reasoning that I explained?
Sir, मतलब अगर हम 4 2 6 8 कर रहे हैं फिर से फिर उसमें issue
Okay,
मतलब क्या
okay,
आता है?
let's do that. Let's say we have 2 4 6 8 in the last one. Okay, how many options do you have? 4 options for this. Now what about arrangements for the rest of the 6 boxes? उनको कितने ways में arrange कर सकते हैं? In how many ways do you arrange these 6 boxes now?
Oh, okay, I get it now. सही है.
आपको बाकी numbers दिए हैं 1 2 4 4 6 8 7. ये total 7 numbers हैं. Now you don't know whether you have 2 4s here or only 1 4 here. So you can't find the arrangements for the rest of the 6 boxes directly here. वो नहीं निकाल सकते.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other problem here? इसका आप अलग अलग कर सकते हो सारे को. That's what I explained earlier as well. अगर आप 2 एक केस ये लो कि 2 आप डाल दो एंड पे, एक केस ये लो ले लो कि एंड पे 6 डाल दो, और फिर एक केस ये हो जाए कि एंड पे 8 कर दें. हर तीनों केसेस के आपके पास आ जाएंगे 6 फैक्टोरियल ओवर 2 फैक्टोरियल, 6 फैक्टोरियल ओवर 2 फैक्टोरियल, इसका भी 6 फैक्टोरियल ओवर 2 फैक्टोरियल. उन तीनों को भी ऐड कर दें और फिर 720 को ऐड कर दें. That's going to give you the same time. वो कर सकते हैं, लेकिन इकट्ठे सारे नहीं हो सकेंगे. इनको और हम सेपरेट कर सकते हैं if you want it. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at B2 now. It has a lot of parts. Now we have B2. How many different numbers between 20,000 and 30,000 can be formed using 5 different digits from the digits 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8? Okay, now let me write that down here first of all. 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Any numbers there? 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. We want to figure out how many different numbers between 20,000 and 30,000 can be formed. Okay, now 20,000 or 30,000 के दरम्यान में जो भी number होगा, it's going to be a 5-digit number, right? So we have 5 places. 20,000 और 30,000 के दरम्यान में आपके पास, आपको पता है 5 digits ही आ सकते हैं. All right, so that's the first thing. You have 5 places. You want a number that's between 20,000 and 30,000. Now, where is the condition? The condition is on the first number, right? Can we have 1 here? If we have 1 here, the number will be less than 20,000. If we have 4 or any of these numbers, the number will be more than 30,000. The only option for the first box is that we put 2 there. और कोई भी option नहीं है first box के लिए. Right? That's the only way you could have a number that is between 20,000 and 30,000. Now, how many numbers are we left with once we have already put 2 in the first box? हमारे पास 5 numbers रह गए, and we want to place those 5 numbers in these 4 boxes. So when the first number comes, the first box has 5 options. The next has 4 options, the next has 3 options, the next has 2 options. You can multiply them individually if you want, or you could say there are 5 objects, 5 numbers. You want to place them in 4 spaces. That's just 5 P4, and that's going to give you the result. Yeah, देखें क्या आता है. 5P4 is 5 factorial over 1 factorial, which is going to be 120. This is the number of cases that we have. Remember, 2 यहाँ पे हमने fix कर दिया है. 2 वहीं पे आ सकता है. ठीक है, so 2 की कोई possible arrangement नहीं है as such. That's fixed. So we get 120 for this. All right. Now Helen has some black tiles. Helen, whatever it is. Some white tiles and some gray tiles. She places a single row of 8 tiles above her wash basin. Okay, some white tiles and some gray tiles. Now some of them are placed in a single row of 8 tiles above her wash basin. Each tile she places is equally likely to be black, white, or gray. Okay, black bhi ho sakte hain. Black, white, or gray. There's equal probability for every tile. Find the probability that there are no tiles of the same color next to each other. Okay, no tiles of the same color which are next to each other. Now, the total, the row has 8 tiles. We could make 8 boxes for this. So we have these 8 boxes. We need to fill these boxes now. Now, if there was no restriction, उसने क्या probability find करनी है सबसे पहले that there are no tiles of the same color next to each other. No tiles of the same color next to each other. यानी कि ब्लैक के साथ ब्लैक नहीं आ सकती, ग्रे के साथ ग्रे नहीं आ सकती, व्हाइट के साथ व्हाइट नहीं आ सकती, एक दूसरे के साथ नहीं हो सकती. Now let's say if there was no condition, हमें probability निकालनी है ना, तो हम पहले तो total number of possible outcomes निकाल लेते हैं. That's one possibility. Total number of possible outcomes क्या होंगे? You have 3 colors which are black, gray, and white. How many options do you have for the first box? You've got 3 options. You could put any of those 3 in the first box. Then what about the second box? 3, third, 3, and so on. Right? सारे boxes के लिए आपके पास 3 options हैं until the last one. What does this become? This becomes 3 raised to power 8, which is some number. So we can say the total possible arrangements. What's that? That is 3 into 3 into 3 into 3, 8 times. So that's 3 raised to power 8. That's the total possible arrangements. So the total possible arrangements, that is 3 raised to power 8, if there were no restrictions. All right. Now, we have some condition now. And the condition is that there can be no 2 tiles of the same color next to each other. That's the condition. Now, in this case, if there can be no 2 tiles of the same color next to each other, how many options do you have for the first box? First box के लिए आपके पास क्या आएंगे? You still have 3 options, right? You could have black, gray, or white. You have 3 options for the first box. That's still 3. But once you have placed one tile here in the first box, it could be black or gray or white. It could be any of one of those 3. Let's say मैं यहाँ पे gray place कर दी. Let's say. Now, how many options do I have for the second box? I cannot place the gray tile here. To place a gray tile here, I can only place a black or a white tile now in the second box, if I've already placed a gray tile in the first box. So how many options do I have for the second one? I have 2 options for the second one. अब यहाँ पे भी कुछ भी हो सकता है, black, gray, white में से. So in fact, black और white में से कोई एक आ जाएगी. Let's say white आ गई. How many options do I have for the next tile, next box now? I can't have white in the next box now. बाकी दोनों में से कोई भी आ सकती है. There are 2 options for the next one. Let's say मैंने यहाँ पे दोबारा gray place कर दी. Let's assume. How many options do I have for the next one? I have 2 options again. And so on. For every next box, you have 2 options because जो पहले वाले color है पिछली tile का, वो next का नहीं हो सकता. So you've got 2 options for the next box, 2 for the next box, 2 for the next box, and so on. You multiply all of these numbers, and that gives you 3 into 2 into 2 into 2. How many times? 7 times. So that's going to become 3 into 2 raised to power 7. All right. Now, this is the possible outcomes that satisfy the condition. Okay, so these are the outcomes that satisfy your condition. Outcomes satisfying given condition. Now, what about probability? Probability would be favorable outcomes, that's 3 into 2 raised to power 7 divided by the total number of possible outcomes, that's 3 raised to power 8. 8 3 cancel हो जाएगा, we're left with 2 raised to power 7 over 3 raised to power 7. Yeah, evaluate कर लेने की क्या आता है. What's this number? Anyone?
Zero 0.0585.
0.0585. 0.0585. This is the probability that we're looking for. All right. Now, there could also be another way of thinking about this. You could also do it like this. For instance, you could say, आप इसको probability के terms में directly अगर सोचो, तो इसमें ये भी कर सकते थे. I don't know how intuitive that is, but you could think of it this way. Okay. First box पे तो कोई condition नहीं है, so वो तो आपने छोड़ दिया. But in how many ways can you fill the second box? You have three tiles: black, gray, yellow. The probability of satisfying the condition in the second box, अगर आप randomly put करते हैं, that's 2 out of 3. Right? The second box में probability would be 2 out of 3. Okay, अब first में जो color था वो नहीं डाल सकते हैं यहाँ पे. First में तो कोई भी डाल सकते थे, that's just 3 out of 3. Right? तो कोई भी डाल सकते हैं. Second में the condition is जो first में आ गया वो second में नहीं आ सकता. So this is going to be 2 over 3. And then whatever is in this box now, that cannot be in the next box. The next option also has 2 out of 3 probability of satisfying the condition. And then again, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, and so on. You multiply all of them because all of them have to be met at the same time. And that also gives you 2 over 3 whole raised to the power 7. And that's the same thing as before, 0.0585. This could be another way of thinking about this. Probability terms में directly अगर आप सोच सकते हो. Question number 17 from the worksheet. Let's look at this. Okay, it says pegs are to be placed in the 4 holes shown, 1 in each hole. The pegs come in different colors and pegs of the same color are identical. So it's given here that the pegs of the same color are identical. Pegs of the same color are identical. Yeah, that's what's given. Now we need to calculate how many different arrangements of colored pegs in the 4 holes can be made using 6 pegs, all of different colors. All right, so we have 4 holes and we have 6 different colors. How many different arrangements of colored pegs in the 4 holes can be made using 6 pegs of all of different colors? Now we've got 6 different colors, unko place karna hai in 4 holes ke andar. In how many ways can this be done? How many arrangements are possible? You've got 6 objects, 4 spaces. You could just do 6p4 for this directly. Right? Out of 6, you have to arrange 4, and that's going to give you the result. Okay. Another possibility could be you could think manually like this. You could say there are 6 options for the first box, then 5, and then 4, and then 3. And that's the same thing as saying 6p4. All right. What do we get from this?
Sir, it's 360.
360. That's the first part. Now let's look at the second part. Now it says, how many different arrangements can be made using 4 pegs consisting of 2 blue pegs, 1 orange peg, and 1 yellow peg? All right. Now the total number of pegs that you have is 4. 4 pegs हैं, 4 ही आपके पास spaces हैं, 4 को आपने उनमें place करना है. In how many ways can you do this now? 4 factorial, yeah, 4p4, that's also fine. But then you have 2 blue pegs, right? So it's like 2 blue, and then you have orange and yellow. Since the 2 blue pegs are identical, you have to divide by 2 factorial because of that. Repetitions को remove करने के लिए, you divide by that, and that gives you 24 over 2, which is 12. That's the second part. The first 2 parts were pretty straightforward. Let's look at part 3 now. Now, this person Beryl has 12 pegs consisting of 2 red, 2 blue, 2 green, and so on for all of these different colors. हर color के दो pegs हैं. Okay. Total 12. Calculate how many different arrangements of colored pegs in the 4 holes she can make using 4 different colors. How many different arrangements can be made in these 4 holes using 4 different colors? 4 different colors use करने हैं. Total कितने colors हैं? Total colors अभी भी 6 हैं. It's just that you have 2 pegs of each color. लेकिन अगर आपने 4 different colors choose करने हैं, इसका मतलब तो ये है कि there are 6 different colors, and out of those 6 colors you have to basically arrange 4 colors, right? 6 में से आपको 4 colors arrange करने हैं. Or you could also think of it this way, that there are 6 colors in total. 6 में से आपको 4 colors choose करने हैं, and then you have to arrange those 4 colors, 4 pegs in these boxes and in these holes. That's going to be 6c4 into 4 factorial. Okay, that is going to give you something. 6c4 into 4 factorial. Can somebody tell me what this is? ये क्या आता है?
360.
360. We could also do it directly like this as well, since we are saying we have 6 colors and we have to arrange 4 out of them. We could directly do this as 6p4 as well, and that should give you the same result, which is 360. Right? You know, we remember we did this permutations को अगर आप split करके लिखें आप इस तरह में लिख सकते हैं NPR is NCR into R factorial. So आप left वाली side use कर लें, right वाली side use कर लें, यहाँ पे दोनों कर सकते हैं. You could either write it as 6c4 into 4 factorial or directly 6p4. Okay, let's look at the next part now, part 4. Now it says, in how many ways can you arrange, how many arrangements are possible of colored pegs in those 4 holes if she is using 3 different colors? What about this now? 3 colors use करके कितनी arrangements possible हैं? Any ideas? How do we start? 4 वाला तो फिर भी थोड़ा आसान था. Now it's actually 3 marks as well. What do we do for this? देखिए आपके पास 6 colors है total. 6 colors है. तो उन 6 colors में से पहले तो आपको कोई 3 colors choose करने हैं. So there's a restriction on colors that you can only have 3 different colors. अब उसमें बहुत सारे different combinations हो सकते हैं. Right? So there are 6 colors. 6 में से 3 के combinations बहुत सारे हो सकते हैं. And then you have to arrange those 3 colors in 4 places. अब देखें, there's no way of doing this directly. In the previous part, you were selecting 4 colors and you were arranging those 4 colors in 4 spaces. वो 4 factorial हो गया था. वो हमने directly handle कर लिया था. But in this case, you have 3 colors that you have to choose. So that would be 6c3. लेकिन फिर इन 3 colors को आपने 4 places में arrange करना है. 3 colors को 4 places में arrange करना है. अब ये directly नहीं हो सकता. ये permutation से directly नहीं हो सकता. अब इसमें ये नहीं कर सकते directly because this number is different. This number here and this number here, they are different numbers. So you can't do this directly. आपको अलग-अलग handle करना पड़ेगा. Combinations अलग से देखने पड़ेंगे और फिर उसको देखना पड़ेगा arrange कैसे कर सकते हैं. ठीक है? So let's first think about the number of possible color combinations you can select out of those 6 colors. You have 6 colors and you have to select 3 of them. 3 different colors आपने select करने हैं. That is going to be 6c3 first of all. Okay? इससे आप क्या कर रहे हो? You want to select 3 colors out of 6. That's the first thing that you have to do. Now, once you're done with this, in how many ways can you arrange this now? इसके arrangements कौन से possible हैं? Let's say आपने 3 colors choose किए. Just as an example, let's say you've chosen blue, red, and green. Let's say red, blue, green. These are the 3 colors, let's say, that you have chosen. Now, in how many ways can you arrange these colors? You have 4 places, right? You have 4 places. अब ये 3 colors use करने हैं. Sorry, you have 4 places, not 3 places. You have 4 places. You have 4 places, and you want to place these 3 colors here somehow. अब वो repeat भी हो सकते हैं, जाहिर है. अब होगा क्या? इसमें से एक कलर 2 दफा repeat हो रहा होगा, 2 दफा आ रहा होगा, और बाकी दोनों colors एक दफा आ रहे होंगे. So one possibility could be that you have red coming twice, and then you could have one hole that has a blue peg and then one that has a green peg. All right. Now, in how many ways can you arrange this thing? 4 factorial, because that's the total number that you have. And then you have 2 R's, that's repeated. So you divide by 2 factorial. And that gives you 24 over 2, that's 12. So there would be 12 ways of arranging this particular case. ठीक है? लेकिन रेड ब्लू ग्रीन की सिलेक्शन के साथ ये एक पॉसिबल सिलेक्शन है. रेड ब्लू ग्रीन अगर हमने सेलेक्ट किया है, अब इसमें एक तो ये पॉसिबिलिटी है कि रेड 2 दफा आ रहा हो, but there's also another possibility, and that is that you have blue coming twice. You could have R, B, B, and then G. This was also possible. You have the same thing here, 4 factorial over 2 factorial. You've got 12 possible cases in this case as well, 12 possible arrangements in this case as well. All right. And then another possibility could be that you have R, B, G, and G. And that's going to give you 4 factorial over 2 factorial as well. And that's 12. So total कितने cases आपके पास बनेंगे? Total कितने arrangements बनेंगे? It's 12 plus 12 plus 12, that is 36. So it's 36 possible arrangements for each color combination, for each 3 color combination. Right? This is the possible arrangements for each 3 color combination. So for example, अगर एक combination ये था RBG, इसमें 3 possible cases बनते हैं. R 2 दफा आ रहा हो, G 2 दफा आ रहा हो, B 2 दफा आ रहा हो, right? उन सब की arrangements जब उनको add करते हो, you get 36. So there are 36 ways of arranging one possible color combination selection. Okay. Now, what's the total number of arrangements that you would get in this case? 63 आपके color combinations हैं. हर combination को arrange करने के कितने ways हैं? 36. Right? And that's going to give you the result. This is going to be the total number of possible arrangements that you get in this case. Is that okay? Any questions on this? What do we get from this? 63 into 36, result क्या आता है?
720.
720. You can have to write like this. First, 63 is actually 20 into 36. अब देखें, यहाँ है 720. You have 20 color combinations. हर color combination को arrange करने के 36 ways हैं. The total number of ways कितने हो गए? 20 times 36. Okay? Yes. Let me know if you have questions now. Okay. Any questions on this?
No, sir.
No. Let's look at the last part, part 5. Now, she has 12 pegs, and now they're saying, in how many ways how many different arrangements are there of 4 pegs such that she can use any of her pegs? There's no condition now. All right. अब देखें, remember combinations है और multiple यहाँ पे identical objects भी आ रहे हैं. इसको डायरेक्ट करने का तरीका हमारे पास होता नहीं है, तो हमें अलग अलग केसेस ही इसमें कंसिडर करने पड़ेंगे. आपको देखना पड़ेगा कौन कौन से पॉसिबल केसेस यहाँ पर हो सकते हैं. अब देखें, उसने कुछ केसेस आपसे ऑलरेडी निकलवा लिए हैं. You have 12 pegs in total and 6 different colors, right? 12 pegs and 6 different colors. They've already made you find the number of arrangements if you had 4 different colors. This turned out to be 360. ये आपने पहले find कर लिया. 4 different colors पे 360 arrangements बनती. And then they made you find what happens if you're using 3 different colors. That came out to be 720 उसके arrangements. Okay. So you have 4 different colors. 4 different colors पे आप arrangements आपने देखी पहले. They turned out to be 360. Now, if you use 3 different colors, ये arrangements आपके पास आ गए 720. Now, what other possibilities do you have? आपने 4 holes fill करने, right? 4 different colors हो सकते हैं, 3 हो सकते हैं. You would have 2 different colors. That could be another possibility. Let's figure out what happens if you have 2 different colors. इसमें क्या होगा? Let's consider this case now. 2 different colors. Now, you use similar logic like before. सबसे पहले आपको क्या करना है? 6 में से 2 colors select करने हैं. So that's 6C2. All right, that's how you start. You have to select 2 out of 6 colors. Now, again, let's suppose आपके पास कोई एक particular color combination आ गया. Let's say blue and red. Let's say आपने एक select कर लिया. You have 4 places, right? You have 4 places in which you have to place these colors. Okay, so boxes से कर लें, circle से कर लें, that's your choice. आपके पास essentially 4 places. Now you want to fill these 4 places using these 4 pegs. Now, how can we do this? Remember, how many pegs do we have for each color? A maximum of 2 pegs. Okay. अगर 2 colors आपके पास आ रही हैं, तो it's necessary that both of them are coming twice, basically. BBRR, this is the only possibility that we have. जो दोनों colors आप select कर रहे होगे, वो 2 दफा आ रहे होंगे दोनों. That's the only possibility. अगर एक दफा आएगा तो दूसरा 3 दफा होना पड़ेगा, और वो possible नहीं है because you only have 2 pegs of each color. So इसके अंदर आपके पास यही possible एक outcome बनती है, that both of them are coming twice. All right. Now, how many ways do we have for arranging this? You have 4 total pegs. Out of them, 2 are identical, and another 2 are also identical. So we divide by 4. We divide 4 factorial by 2 factorial because of the 2 B's, and then by 2 factorial because of the 2 R's, and this gives us 24 over 4, which is 6. All right. So एक possible color combination अगर BR है, this is one possible color combination. इसको arrange करने के कितने ways हैं? 6 ways हैं. How many total possible color combinations do we have? We have 6C2 possible color combinations. हर एक को arrange करने के there are 6 ways. इन दोनों को multiply कर दें, and that gives you the number of arrangements if you have 2 different colors. Okay, what do we get from this? 6C2 is 15.
90.
15 times 6 is 90. This results in 90. Okay. इसमें आपके पास 90 arrangements, 90 possible ways, okay, of filling those holes. And now let's think about another case. You could also have one peg of each color, one different color, yani only one color. Is that possible कि आपको सिर्फ एक color हो उससे आप चारों पे fill कर दो? That's not possible because you only have two pegs of each color. तो एक color से सारे चार holes तो नहीं fill हो सकते. So that's not a possibility. आपने आपके पास वही तीन possibilities नहीं. You could have 2 different colors, 4 different colors, 3 different colors. उन तीनों को आप add कर दें. Total number of arrangements कितनी हो जाएंगी? हम देख लेते हैं. Total number of arrangements. It's going to be 360 plus 720 plus 90. You add all of them up and see what that gives you. 1080 plus 90, that's 1170. This is the total number of arrangements that you get in this case. Is this all right? Okay, a small plane has 14 seats for passengers. The seats are arranged in 4 rows of 3 seats and a back row of 2 seats. You can see the diagram. 12 passengers board the plane. Now, how many possible seating arrangements are there for the 12 passengers? Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. अच्छा यहाँ पे उसने लिखा हुआ 3 significant figures में आंसर लिखना है तो आपको यहाँ पे वो कंडीशन मीट करनी है. Otherwise आप हमेशा यहाँ पे exact answers ही देते हैं, पूरे के पूरे numbers लिखते हैं. तो यहाँ पे आप उसको round off करेंगे. Now you have 14 seats, 14 places. How many passengers are there? There are 12 passengers. 14 places में 12 passengers को arrange करना है. You could just do it directly like this. You could say this is 14p12. Evaluate this and see what you get. ये क्या आता है?
Sir, it's 4.36 into 10 raised to the power 10.
4.36 into 10 raised to the power
10.
10. Okay, you could write it like this. This is also 3 significant figures and that's going to work. Or you could write it like this, 436. 436 and then 10 zeros, 8 zeros after that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's also fine. ठीक है? इनमें से एक किसी भी एक तरह से लगता है. That's the first part. That's pretty straightforward. Okay. Let's look at the second part. 14 आपके पास places थे, उनमें से आपने 12 को arrange करना था. That's done. Now, let's look at the second part. Now it says these 12 passengers consist of 2 married couples, Mr. and Mrs. Lin and Mr. and Mrs. Brown, 5 students. So there are 4 people here, 2 married couples, 5 students, so that's 9, and 3 business people. So that's 12 total people. Okay. The 3 business people sit in the front row. So now let me actually just copy this diagram here. Okay, हर part, दोनों parts के लिए इसको अलग-अलग देख लें. And this is what it looks like. आप इसको पेंसिल से कह रहे होंगे, इससे आप annotate करना चाहते हैं पेपर में ताकि एक part के लिए कर लें, फिर next part के लिए you can just change that. Okay, let's look at this first. So the 3 business people, they sit in the front row. So this is the total number. आपको जो नजर आ रहा है ऊपर, 2 married couples, there are 4 of those people. And then 5 students and 3 business people. 3 business people sit in the front row. You can see front is on the right side here. They sit here in 3 positions के ऊपर. ठीक है? So you can have B1 here, B2 here, and B3 here. ये आपने business वाले लोगों को place कर दिया यहाँ पे. यहाँ एक condition थी, they are already placed there. Now the 5 students each sit at a window seat. Now how many window seats do we have? You've got 3 and 4, 7 left. after those business people already seated, आपके पास 7 options रह गई हैं students के लिए, ठीक है? Now let's wait. इसके बाद देखते हैं उनके अब 7 में से किन 5 में कर सकते हैं, we don't know yet. हम एक बार देख लेते हैं आगे और क्या कंडीशन है. एक तो स्टूडेंट्स ने यहाँ पे रहना है विंडो सीट्स पे, सो वो इन्हीं 7 सीट्स में कहीं पर आ सकते हैं. ओके, अब देखते हैं किस तरह से फिल करना है उनको. The next thing is Mr. and Mrs. Lin sit in the same row on the same side of the aisle. Mr. and Mrs. Lin sit in the same row on the same side of the aisle. Now this is the aisle. Mr. and Mrs. Lin on the same side of the aisle and in the same row. Now what does that mean? They could either come here or here or here. इन तीनों में से किसी एक में Mr. and Mrs. Lin आ रहे होता. All right. अच्छा, Mr. and Mrs. Brown sit in another row on the same side of the aisle. अच्छा, अब ये आपके पास 3 rows हैं. इनमें से 2 में Mr. and Mrs. Brown आ रहे हैं और Mr. and Mrs. Lin आ रहे हैं. One of them is going to remain empty after that. Now, how many possible seating arrangements are there? This is what we need to think about. All right. Now, अगर हम स्टूडेंट्स को पहले प्लेस कर देते हैं, अगर हम स्टूडेंट्स से कहते हैं कि अच्छा there are 7 places, उनमें से 5 में स्टूडेंट्स को अरेंज करना है 75, तो उससे मसला ये हो जाता कि अगर स्टूडेंट्स, फिर उनमें से ये भी तो पॉसिबिलिटी होगी कि एक स्टूडेंट यहाँ पर आ जाए, एक स्टूडेंट यहाँ पर आ जाए, एक स्टूडेंट यहाँ पर आ जाए, और फिर एक इधर आ जाए और एक यहाँ पर आ जाए. This is one possibility if we do 75 here for the students first, and that would mean that we cannot fulfill the conditions for Mr. and Mrs. Lin and Mr. and Mrs. Brown in that case. उनको नहीं प्लेस कर सकते, उनकी कंडीशन नहीं मीट होगी किसी तरह से, राइट? तो हम स्टूडेंट से स्टार्ट नहीं कर सकते. So remember, आपने कंडीशंस जहां पे जिस चीज के ऊपर कंडीशन लगी होती है उससे स्टार्ट करना होता है. पर उन कंडीशंस के अंदर भी देयर इज प्रायोरिटी कि आपको देखना है कि कौन सी ज्यादा स्ट्रिक्ट कंडीशन है, राइट? कौन सी ज्यादा स्ट्रिक्ट कंडीशन है. तो यहाँ पे अगर स्टूडेंट्स को पहले प्लेस कर देंगे तो फिर आपके पास वो मिस्टर एंड मिसेस बेन और मिस्टर एंड मिसेस ब्राउन को प्लेस करने के ऑप्शंस खत्म हो जाएंगे. तो आपको पहले उनको प्लेस करना पड़ेगा. अच्छा, और सबसे पहले तो बिजनेस वाले तो वो फिक्स हो गए वहां पे, तो उनकी तो समझता नहीं है. लेट्स स्टार्ट विद दिस. सबसे पहले बिजनेस वालों को हमने वहां पे प्लेस कर दिया. उनके पास कितने वेज हैं? देयर आर 3 seats and there are 3 business people. You can fill them in 3 factorial ways. So that's the easier part. बिजनेस वाले लोगों को तो आप आराम से फिल कर सकते हैं आप, ठीक है? Now once that is done, the 2 couples, they can come in two of these 3 rows. इन 2 में से आपने उनको इन 3 में से आपने उनको किसी 2 रोज में प्लेस करना. Okay. Now, in how many ways can this be done? एक पॉसिबिलिटी ये हो सकती है कि मिस्टर एंड मिसेस ब्राउन यहाँ पर आ जाए, मिस्टर एंड मिसेस लिन यहाँ पर आ जाए. एक ही हो सकता है कि मिस्टर एंड मिसेस ब्राउन यहाँ पर हो और मिस्टर एंड मिसेस लिन यहाँ पर आ जाए. You could have it the other way around, Mr. and Mrs. Lin यहाँ पर आ जाए, Mr. and Mrs. Brown यहाँ पर आ जाए. So there are many different possibilities. How can you think about it directly? There are 3 rows. उन 3 rows में 2 में आपने उन couples को place करना है और उनको arrangement भी कर सकते हैं, right? So this is different. So this B, L and this L and B, they are different. तो उनकी arrangement भी matter करती है आपस में. So what you could do for this could be, you would say it's 3 P2. And what exactly does it mean? You are basically arranging or placing the 2 couples in 2 out of the 3 rows. आपने उनको इन 3 rows में से किसी 2 में place कर दिया. All right. Now, once that is done, remember the husband and wife, they can also switch their position. So if you have Mr. Lin here, let's say this is Mr. Lin and this is Mrs. Lynn. ये आपस में भी तो अपनी पोजीशन स्विच कर सकते हैं. Similarly, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, they can also switch their position with each other. So वो कितने ways में कर सकते हैं? Mr. and Mrs. Brown can switch their places in 2 factorial ways, and Mr. and Mrs. Lynn can also switch their places in 2 factorial ways. 2 या 2 factorial, you can use both, any of them. So we multiply this by 2 factorial and also multiply by 2 factorial for Mr. So first of all, you multiply by 2 factorial for Mr. and Mrs. Brown, and then with 2 factorial for Mr. and Mrs. Lynn. तो ये क्यों कर रहे हैं हम? These two, we're saying arrange the husband and wife with each other, right? So the husband and wife can switch places with each other, with each other as well. So one of them is for Mr. and Mrs. Brown, and the other one is for Mr. and Mrs. Lynn. Okay. Now, once this is done, you know, एक इन 3 में से 2 में आपने couples को place कर दिया. So they are, let's say, coming here and here. What about the students now? Students के पास क्या options रह गए हैं? Right? You've got 1 window seat here and 4 window seats here. So there are 5 students and they have 5 places left to sit now. In how many ways can that be done? This can be done in 5 factorial ways. Or you could say 5p5, that's the same thing as well. This is for arranging the students in the remaining 5 window seats. Okay, those window seats सब occupy हो गई हैं, उन couples ने occupy कर ली. All right, so बस सिर्फ ये रह गया. Now you just multiply all of them, and that is going to give you the final result. Does this make sense? This is one way of doing this. Of course, you could think of it another way as well. थोड़ा बहुत change हो सकता था. But let me know if there are any problems with this.
सर हमने 3 फैक्टोरियल से मल्टीप्लाई किया.
3 फैक्टोरियल तो बिजनेस वाले हैं ना. ये तो हमने पहले जो बिजनेस वाले फ्रंट रो में आ रहे हैं ना, उनकी अरेंजमेंट है. Arrange the business people in front row. They have 3 seats. वो आपस में अपनी arrangement change कर सकते हैं ना. So that's 3 factorial. That's for the business people. Any problem with this?
No, sir.
No? Okay, let's look at the last part. All right, good. Let's look at the last part now. The last part says, if instead the 12 passengers are seated randomly, so now you're seating them randomly, find the probability that Mrs. Lynn sits directly behind a student and Mrs. Brown sits in the front row. Now you've got another set of conditions. Mrs. Lynn has to sit directly behind a student and Mrs. Brown has to sit in the front row. Okay. Now let's use this other diagram that I copied here. Now what are the conditions? अब probability निकालनी है तो हम basically कर रहे होंगे total possible outcomes हमने first part में निकाली हैं 14p12 ये denominator होगा. हम ये निकाल लेंगे जो उसने condition दी हुई है इसके कितने number of ways हैं, and then we'll just divide the favorable outcomes divided by the total possible outcomes, right? So वो हम end पे कर लेंगे. तो अभी के लिए we can just find the number of cases that satisfy this condition. Now, what's the condition? Mrs. Lin sits directly behind a student. Mrs. Brown sits in the front row. So Mrs. Brown front row mein, that's easier to handle first of all. So Mrs. Brown could come in one of these three places. In तीनों में से कहीं एक जगह पे आ सकते हैं, right? So there are three options, three ways of placing Mrs. Brown. So you have three for that. You could say 3P1, 3C1, कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. All of them come out turn out to be 3. You have 3 like them directly. So Mrs. Brown has 3 options first of all. So this is for Mrs. Brown. ये आपने Mrs. Brown को place कर दिया in the front row, in one seat in the front row, on one seat in the front row. Let's say उनको आपने यहाँ पे place कर दिया. This is Mrs. Brown. Okay. Now, once Mrs. Brown is placed, उसके 3 different ways, right? हम यहाँ पे consider कर लिया. The other condition is that Mrs. Lin has to sit directly behind a student. All right. Now, there has to be one student that is sitting in front of Mrs. Lin. Now, where can Mrs. Lin be? Can she be here? She can't, because इनके आगे तो कोई यहाँ पे जगह नहीं बचेगी. She can't be here. यहाँ पे कोई आगे जगह नहीं है. She has to have a student in front of her. So she can't be here. She can't be here. ये तो possible. ये तो cases उसके लिए possible नहीं है. Okay. So she can't be here or here. That's not possible. Now she also can't be here. जहाँ पे भी in 3 seats में Mrs. Brown बैठ गई हैं, अभी उनके पीछे नहीं आ सकती because इनकी तो condition ये है कि उनके आगे student होना चाहिए. All right. तो Mrs. Lin यहाँ पे भी नहीं आ सकती. How many options does Mrs. Lin have now? बाकी तो हर जगह आ सकती है. बाकी तो हर सीट के आगे आपको एक सीट मिल रही है जिसपे कोई स्टूडेंट हम बिठा सकते हैं उसके बाद. All right. Now, how many seats do we have left? एक में Mrs. Brown है, 3 हमने और cancel out कर दिए. We have 10 seats left. So Mrs. Lin can now be seated in 10 different ways. We have 10 options for Mrs. Lin. Again, you could do 10C1 or 10P1. All of them give you the same thing. We've got 10 ways of seating Mrs. Lin. Okay, 10 ways इसके हो गए आपके पास. Now, let's say Mrs. Lin comes in one of these boxes. कहीं पे भी आपने उनको place कर दिया. Let's say वो यहाँ पर आ गई. What about the students now? Let's say आपने यहाँ पे place कर दिया. Now, there has to be one student who comes in front here. So there has to be one student in this place. यहाँ पे एक student का होना जरूरी है. And then the rest can be placed wherever. उनके ऊपर कोई condition नहीं है. Students के ऊपर और कोई भी condition नहीं है. बस एक student को Mrs. Lin के आगे होना चाहिए. All right. Now, in how many ways can we fill this particular box? There are 5 students. उन 5 में से कोई भी एक student यहाँ पे इस box में आ सकता है. Right? Now, how many options do you have for this particular box? You've got 5 options for filling this particular box. You could multiply by 5 for that reason. Or you could say 5C1, 5 में से एक कोई भी student select करना, right? So this is the student sitting in front of Mrs. Lin. ये उनके जो आगे बैठा है student, ये वो है. All right? ये आपने इसको place कर दिया. There are 5 different ways for this. Now, once this is done, you have how many seats left? You've got 2 here. Yeah, here's this. You've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And also these front seats, 9, 10. 10 ready? And 11. There are actually 11 seats. Let me just do that again. आपने वो कर दिया. आपने Mrs. Brown को बैठा दिया, Mrs. Lin को बैठा दिया और एक student को बैठा दिया. Total 14 seats. Now you have 11 seats left. On 11 seats के अंदर, you have to place the remaining 4 students. In how many ways can that be done now? That can be done in 9, no, there are 11 seats, 11 P4 ways, right? 11 P4 ways में आप बाकी students को यहाँ पे arrange कर सकते हैं. So this is for the other 4 students. आपके पास 11 seats रह गई हैं, 4 students हैं, उनके ऊपर कोई condition नहीं है. So it's simply going to be 11 P4.
Sir,
And that is going to give you the result. Yes.
we have Mr. Brown and Mr. Lin too. उनको हम consider नहीं करेंगे?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about them. Total हमारे पास कितने लोग थे? Total हमारे पास थे 12 लोग थे. I'm sorry. हमने एक को यहाँ पे place कर दिया, एक को इधर कर दिया, एक को इधर कर दिया. We have 9 people left. We have 9 people left. So उनके उन 9 के 9 लोगों के ऊपर कोई condition नहीं है, उनका आप इकट्ठे handle कर सकते हो. So we could say this is 11P9 directly. या फिर अगर हम students को पहले place करना चाहें, ये भी कर सकते हैं. पहले 11P4 करके students को place कर दें, और फिर बाकी कितनी seats रह गई आपके पास?
Sir, हम students को क्यों पहले place कर रहे हैं?
इकट्ठा भी कर सकते हैं, बाद में अलग से भी कर सकते हैं, इकट्ठा भी कर सकते हैं. That doesn't matter, right? उनके उनपे कोई कंडीशन नहीं है ना, एक ही बात होगी दोनों. You can do it directly as well, that's okay. अगर हम डायरेक्टली करते हैं तो आ जाएगा 11P9. जो भी रिमेनिंग है उनको इकट्ठे कर दिया आपने, right? So this is for the remaining people. जो भी बाकी रह गए उनको आप एक साथ हैंडल कर लें. ओके, तो ये आप देखेंगे क्या आता है, ये टोटल कितना आता है.
29376.
क्या आ रहा है, सॉरी?
299376.
Okay. 299,376 and then 0000. Okay, that's a big number. अब उसको ऐसे भी रख सकते हैं, आपको probability निकालनी है एंड पे, तो बेशक उसको वैसे ही रहने दें उसी टर्म्स के अंदर. What is your probability going to be? That's 299,376,0000. In the denominator, you have total possible outcomes. जहाँ पे कोई भी restriction नहीं थी. That was 14P12. आप बेशक वही डायरेक्टली डाल दें कैलकुलेटर में, and that is going to give you the probability. या देख लें आपको क्या मिलता है.
$0.0687.
0.0687. Do we get a fraction for this as well?
Yes, 25/364.
25/364. So you could either write that fraction 25/364, or you could write it as a decimal like this, 0.0684. Okay, and that is going to give you the result. Make sense? So जो आप लोग पूछ रहे थे पहले, I think Ariba was asking, यहाँ पे आप इसको स्प्लिट भी कर सकते थे. आप पहले स्टूडेंट्स को बेसिक प्लेस कर देते 11P4, so they are to be placed in 4 places. अब जो बाकी रह गए 7 places रह गए, और उनमें आप फिर जो बाकी इतने लोग रह गए 5 लोग रह गए, 3 business people and Mr. and Mrs. Brown, sorry, Mr. Brown and Mr. Lin, 5 लोग रह गए, and then you could do 7P5, and that's also fine. That will also give you the same thing. उनके उन पे कंडीशन कोई नहीं है ना, you could handle any of them first. और आप ये भी कर सकते थे, पहले उन 5 लोगों को प्लेस कर दिया, फिर जो बाकी रिमेनिंग बचा है उसमें आपने स्टूडेंट्स को प्लेस कर दिया. All of these are the same thing. या क्योंकि उन पे कोई कंडीशन नहीं है, it's actually better and more efficient to just place them directly like this, 11P9. उन सबको इकट्ठे हैंडल कर लें जिन पे कोई कंडीशन नहीं है. All of them give you the same thing. All right. So this is the probability that we get at the end, 25/364. Jeff wishes to plant 25 flowers in a flower bed. He can choose from 15 different geraniums, 10 different roses, and 8 different lilies. He wants to have at least 11 geraniums and also to have the same number of roses and lilies. Find the number of different selections of flowers that he can make. All right, so how do we think about this? Let's start with the first part. Now he wants 25 flowers. 25 flowers. He can choose from 15 different geraniums, 10 different roses, and 8 different lilies. This is the condition that we're given. Now, so this is the total number that we're given. He wants to have at least 11 of these and the same number of roses and lilies after that. Okay. Now the total number has to be 25. The total number that he plans is supposed to be 25, and he wants at least 11 of these. Now so there are 3 categories of flowers that we have. Let's represent them here. So we've got 11 geraniums, and then we have we have 15 geraniums of this type. Then we have 10 roses, and we have 8 lilies. Okay, so that's the total number that we have. Now what he wants is, he wants at least 11 of geraniums. Now, what are the different possibilities that can be there? He could have 11 of these, and then the number of roses and lilies that they have, that has to be equal. So if we have 11 of these and the total is 25, baki kitne reh gaye aapke paas? 14. So they're going to be divided like this, 7 and 7, and the total becomes 25 in this case. All right, that's one possibility. Or he could have 10 here, but if he has 10 here, then the remaining flowers are 15. 15 को आप equally divide नहीं कर सकते, so that's not a possibility. 10 नहीं हो सकता. And sorry, I think I doing it the wrong way. It says at least 11, so 11 से ऊपर वाले देखना है, तो आपको 12 देखना है. 12 अगर होता है तो बाकी आपके पास कितने रहते हैं? 13 को आप equally divide नहीं कर सकते, so that's not possible. The next option you could have could be 13. So you could have 13 here. अगर 13 आपके पास G's हो जाएं, तो बाकी आपने equally divide करना है. That would be 6 and 6. All right, that could be another possibility. And then you have the same problem with 14. अगर 14 नहीं होंगे, total 25 करना है. बाकी 11 रहते हैं आपके पास. 11 को आप equally divide नहीं कर सकते, so 14 नहीं रख सकते यहाँ पे. The next option for G's would be 15. And then you could have 5 roses and 5 lilies after that. Okay, so these are the 3 options that you have. इसके अलावा कोई और option आपके पास नहीं बनती. Now remember, we're talking about selections. We're not talking about arrangements. In 25 flowers के arrangement की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. We're only concerned about the number of selections. Okay, तो combinations की बात हो रही है सिर्फ. Now, how is this going to work? First case आपके पास क्या आ गया? You're selecting 11 out of 15 and 7 out of 10 and 7 out of 7. 7 out of 8. That's the first possible case. Then the second possible case is you have 13C11 and 10C6 and 8C6. And then the last option is 15C15. I'm sorry, the second was actually 15C13. I think I'm still kind of sleepy right now. It's supposed to be 15C13, and then the last option is 15C15 into 10C5 into 8C5. All right, these are the options that you've got. Now, what do you get from each of these cases? First up, आपके पास क्या आता है?
1310400.
1310400. That's the first possibility that we have. What about the second one?
617,400.
617,400. And the last one?
14,112.
14,112. Now we just add all of them up and we get the total. ठीक है, आप देख लें क्या आता है. What's the total?
1941,912.
1941,912. Okay, good. Thank you. So that's the total that we get at the end. This is the total number of selections that we could do in this case. All right, that was the first part. That was
Sir?
fairly standard. Yes.
Sir, why can't we have this possibility as well? कि हम G के 17 ले लें and then R and L के we can take 4, 4.
Because we have total 15 Gs.
Oh,
The total
okay,
number is
sir.
15. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's look at the second part. This was part A. Now let's do part B. Now we need to find the number of different ways in which the 9 letters of the word green gauge can be arranged if exactly two of the G's are next to each other. So you want 2 G's together. The word is green gauge. How many letters do we have for this? We have 5 and 4. We have 9 total letters. All right. So we could think of making 9 boxes for this. Right. So we have these 9 boxes, which represent those 9 letters. Now, in how many ways can this be arranged if exactly 2 of the G's are next to each other? Now, how many G's do we have in this word? We've got 1, 2, 3 G's in this word. Okay. So one idea could be that we start doing it the way we are used to doing it. We basically put the 2 G's in one single box, right? That's how we used to do it. एक box में डाल दे 2 G's को. So you could have G and G here like this. So now what's the total number of boxes? The total number of boxes is 8 factorial.
8.
Is 8. So that becomes 8 factorial. And then we think about the letters that we are left with. आपके पास 2 G's यहाँ पर आ जाएंगे तो बाकी letters क्या बचे? R, E, E, N, A, E, and we still have 1 G there as well. So out of these 8 boxes that you have, how many are identical? This is 2 G's and this is 1 G. So they are not identical. Okay. That's it. We have 3 E's. We could divide by 3 factorial. Because of that, let's say आपने 3 factorial it's a divide कर दिया to account for those repetitions. Now, what are you left with? अब इस box के अंदर देख लेंगे. इस box में तो 2 G's हैं. उनकी arrangements matter नहीं करती. They are both identical. So अगर आप वो करेंगे भी, that should give you 2 factorial over 2 factorial. And you could consider it or not consider it, that would not matter. So this should work, right? इसमें और तो हमने कोई चीज मिस नहीं की है. But you'll figure out this is not correct. Why is this not correct? What's the problem with this?
The
So
third
is
G.
it because the third G can come next to them?
The third G can come next to them as well. So you see, you've got 2 G's here in one single box, but 1 G आपके पास रहता है. Now the problem is, you are putting these 2 G's together and that's okay. That's fulfilling the condition, but you want exactly 2 of the G's next to each other. You can't have 3 G's next to each other. In this case, you also have this possibility that another G is also here next to them. जब बाकी सबको आप randomly arrange कर रहे हो, तो उसमें ये भी तो possibility होगी कि ये वाला G भी यहाँ पर आ जाए, right? और फिर 3 G's इकट्ठे हो जाएंगे. That is not allowed. So that case is not being considered here. So we have to eliminate that particular case from this. All right. तो ये हम इस तरह से इस तरीके से नहीं कर सकते. This is not going to work. Does everyone get this? Why this is not going to work? 3G वाला केस यहाँ पर आ जाएगा. So that's the
Yes,
problem.
sir.
Okay. So how do we deal with this then? Remember हमने ये पहले एक दफा बिल्कुल शुरू में हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे. हमने जब अरेंजमेंट्स डिस्कस की थी तो हम ये देख रहे थे Yeah, so we looked at these physics books के physics books को आपने इकट्ठे रखना है या separate करना है. So we wanted not all physics books to be together. उसमें क्या क्या possibility हो सकती थी, या तो सारी separated हो या उनमें से सिर्फ 2 इकट्ठी हो या सिर्फ 3 इकट्ठी हो. And I told you at that point, figuring out this case is relatively easy. If you want to have all physics books together, ये आप निकाल सकते हो. सबको separate करना हो तो हम वो ये vertical lines वाला method use कर सकते हैं उसके लिए, या वो एक possibility थी. But if you want to find the middle two cases, they are quite complicated. Finding 2 p's together and exactly 3 p's together, because उसमें फिर आपके पास वो भी cases आ जाते हैं जहाँ पे randomly एक और p भी उसके साथ आ जाए. So that case is quite complicated. All right, आप exactly 2 p's आपने इकट्ठे करने हो कि 2 से ज्यादा ना हो, तो वो थोड़ा complicated हो जाता है. Right, so this is where that case is coming up now, that you have 3 G's and you want exactly 2 of those 3 G's together. 3 नहीं हो सकते, 1 नहीं हो सकते. All right, now one possible way of thinking about this is that you say, let's write down the possible cases we could have here. First of all, you've got 3 G's. G's के क्या क्या case बन सकते हैं? या तो सारे G's separated हो, that's one possible case, right? So you can write them down here. One case is all G's are separated. So एक G आ सकता है एक टाइम के एक box के अंदर, उसके साथ कोई भी ना हो. This is one possibility, all separated. We could have 2 G's together, exactly 2 G's together, and not 3. Okay, and then another possibility could be that we have all 3 G's together. These are the only 3 possible cases that we have. All right, what we are looking for is this case in the middle. ये चाहिए हमें. Now one idea could be that we know how to find the lost case when we want all 3 G's together. That's one possible case. हमें ये निकालना आता है. We also know how to separate all of them using that vertical lines वाला method, right? Or was that stars वाला method? हमें ये भी आता है. तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं, हम total निकाल लें, total possible arrangements without any restrictions, and we subtract from that this first case and the third case. That could be one possibility. Does that make sense? So आप ये तीनों cases, ये दोनों cases में से minus कर दें, आपके पास ये middle वाला case रह जाएगा. Let's try that. Let's find the total arrangements first of all without any restrictions. Total arrangements without any restrictions. What would that be? You've got 9 letters. Let me write down the word here. The word is green gauge. Now we have 9 letters in total in this word. So that's 9 factorial. But we have 3 G's. We divide by 3 factorial because of that. And we also have 3 E's. We divide by 3 factorial because of that. And that is going to give you the total arrangements without restrictions. Okay, let's actually keep it like this for now. This is the total arrangements without restrictions. Okay. Now what we do is we consider those 2 cases that we have to eliminate from this total. एक सबको separate करना है और एक सबको इकट्ठे करना है. Okay, let's consider the first case where we want all of them separated. Let's find the first case. We want all separated. How does that work? We have green gauge. Write down the word here again. This is the word. We want all three G's to be separated. Now, if we eliminate the G's, how many letters are we left with? We've got three, we have 6 other letters जिनको आपने arrange करना. Remember how we used to do this? We start with the letters or objects that we do not have to separate. हमें क्या नहीं separate करना? Everything apart from G. So how many places do we have for that? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is all letters which are not supposed to be separated. Okay, ये वो सारे letters हैं. So everything apart from the 3 G's. All right. And now in the places that we have, in the gaps that we have in the middle, we want to place those G's now. यहाँ पे हम उन G's को place कर सकते हैं. ठीक है? ये G's यहाँ पे place हो सकते हैं. Now, how many ways do we have for arranging these blue spaces? We have 6 of those letters. So we can say 6 factorial for that. But out of those 6 letters, we have 3 E's. 1, 2, 3. We divide by 3 factorial because of that. Okay, because we have 3 E's and give us a 3 factorial से divide करना पड़ेगा. All right. So that's the possible arrangements for the letters which do not have to be separated. And now come the 3 G's. 3 G's को आप कहाँ पे place कर सकते हो? How many places do you have for them? You have 7 places. अभी orange वाले count करें, there's 7 places. Okay, 7 में आपको 3 G's को arrange करना है. You could say that is 7 P3, but then all of them are identical. You divide by 3 factorial because of that, because all of them are identical. Okay, उसकी वजह से आप क्या करोगे? 3 factorial से divide भी कर दोगे. Or another way of thinking about this could be, आप इसकी जगह 7P3 की जगह आप directly इस केस के अंदर 7C3 भी कर सकते थे, because that's the same thing. आपको क्योंकि order यहाँ पे matter ही नहीं करता, तीनों G's हैं, right? G's के लिए तो order नहीं matter करता, तो आपको basically इन 7 places में से 3 select करने हैं जहाँ पे G's को place करना. So rather than this, you could also just do 7C3. That would also work. आप दोनों में से कुछ भी कर सकते थे. But this gives you the total number of arrangements for this case where all G's are separated. Okay. Now you'll get something from this. Yep, evaluate कर ले. In fact, दोबारा लिखना पड़ेगा. What's the total number for both of these cases? Total arrangements for that restriction.
180 for the first one.
Okay, 180 for this. 180.
180. 10080, sir. Sorry.
Was that Halima? Halima, how is that 180? That's 10,080.
Sorry, 180. And the second one is 4,200.
4,200. Okay, so this is the total arrangements, 10,080, and then all G's separated, 4,200. Okay, ये हमने first case निकाल लिया. Let's look at this third possibility where we want all G's to be together. Now, if all G's have to be together, उसकी तो simple representation होगी. Initially, we had 9 places. And now we want 3 G's to be together. For that, what we can do is we can merge 3 boxes and make them one. So we put 3 G's in one single box. Okay. Now, what are the remaining letters? The remaining letters are R, E, E, N, A, E. These are the remaining letters. Now, in how many ways can we do this? For the outer boxes, we have 7 total boxes. So in how many ways can we arrange those 7 boxes? 7 factorial, but then 3 of them are identical because they have e's in them. We divide by 3 factorial because of that. And then we think about the arrangements inside the box. They're all g's, unki arrangement matter nahi karti hai. We can just ignore that. Okay, you have ignore kar sakte hain, and you can just evaluate what this turns out to be. 7 factorial over 3 factorial. What's this number?
840.
840. अब आप क्या करेंगे? टोटल में से ये दोनों केसेस माइनस कर देंगे, ठीक है? So the required number of arrangements, they are going to be 10,080 minus 4,200 and 840. What do we get from this?
5040.
5,040. So that's the number of arrangements that we have in this case. All right. This is one way of looking at it. All right. Total में से अब ये minus कर दें. It's slightly easier to think about because we know how to do this. We know how to do this. So इस तरह कर सकते हैं. But it's a bit lengthy. And that's okay. Starts के पेपर इतना लंबा नहीं होता. तो time का इतना issue नहीं होता उसके अंदर. But there is another possibility. There's another possibility. How do we think about this directly without having to calculate the total and subtracting this case and this case? We want to do this. We don't want to do so many calculations. We want to get this thing directly, let's say. Okay, we want the 2 G's directly. Now, how is this going to work? Let's try to think about this now. अच्छा, ये जो सेपरेट करने वाली जो अरेंजमेंट है ना, जो हम यहाँ पे लाइंस बनाते हैं, अब इसमें बॉक्सेस भी यूज कर सकते हैं if you want. Dashes बस ये है कि इतने अलग अलग बॉक्सेस बनाना जो मुश्किल हो जाता है. So essentially it's the same thing as this. यहाँ पे आप कह लें कि आपने ये 6 को उनको प्लेस कर दिया. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Then you have gaps between them where you are going to put the remaining 3 boxes, right? So अब इसमें boxes use कर लें, dashes use कर लें, doesn't really make any difference. Okay. Anyway, let's get to that other option we could have for this. So what's the word? The word is green gauge. And what we want is we want exactly 2 G's together, right? Exactly 2 G's together. So remember what we used to do for that? We used to say, if we want 2 objects together, we put them in a single box, right? We put them in a single box like this. So we've got one box for the 2 G's. And now what we want is we do not want the third G to be next to these 2 G's. So let's say there's one other box that has the third G in that. Now these 2 boxes have to be separated. These 2 things, they have to be separated from each other, right? They cannot be together. So we've got one box in which we've got 2 G's. We've got one box in which we have 1 G. We want that these 2 do not come together. All right, because otherwise we would have 3 G's together. All right. Now, how do we think about this? What we can do is, another idea could be that you say, let's just separate these 2 objects now. Remember, how did we used to separate objects? We could say, let's start with the remaining letters and have boxes for the remaining letters. How many of the remaining letters do we have? We have got 6 remaining letters. So we have 6 boxes for those remaining letters. We represent them here using gaps. So these are the letters that do not have to be separated. Which letters are these? These are R, E, E, N, A, E. There's no condition in those 6 letters, right? So those are letters which do not have to be separated. We've got 6 places for that, right? And now we think about these 2 boxes in which we've put 2 G's in one box and then 1 G in another box, right? And now what we want to do is we want to place these 2 boxes in some of these places, in 2 of these places. These are the gaps that we have. We could place those boxes either here or here or here, and so on. These are the options for putting those 2 boxes, right? So those 2 boxes could come in the positions that are shown here. Now, in how many ways can you arrange these 6 boxes? You can arrange these 6 boxes in 6 factorial over 3 factorial ways, right? Because 3 of them are identical, 3 of them are E's. So in total, there are 6, but 3 are identical, so we divide by 3 factorial because of that. And now, once you have arranged these 6 boxes, you've got 3 G's left. Now, out of those 3 G's, 2 have to be together. We have put them in a single box. And 1 G separately. Now, these 2 G's can be placed in these 7 positions. How many arrangements do we have for this? 7P2. 7 places, 2 objects. That's 7P2. Evaluate this, and this is also going to turn out to be 5040. So this is another method of dealing with this. You want 2 G's together and the 3rd G separate. So this is how we could do this. We think about all the other 6 letters first, like we used to do when we were separating objects. So we start with the other 6 letters. There are 6 factorial ways of arranging those 6 letters. Out of them, 3 are identical, so we divide by 3 factorial because of that. We have gaps between them in which we can put these 2 boxes. One of these boxes has 2 G's, and one of these boxes has 1 G. There are 7 places. In those 7 places, we have to arrange 2 objects. In how many ways can we do that? 7P2. We just multiply these 2, and that gives us 5040 as well. That's another way of looking at it. All right, let's try this. Find the number of different ways in which the 9 letters of the word aggregate can be arranged in a line if the first letter is an R. And that's the first one. Now, how many letters do we have? We've got 9 letters. So let's say we have 9 spaces like this. Now, 9 letters of the word aggregate, they can be arranged in a line, and the condition is the first letter has to be an R. Okay, so first letter fix हो गया. First letter जो है ये R होना चाहिए. Now, what are the remaining letters? Aggregate, R आपने निकाल दिया उसमें से. So A, G, G, you can see how many of them are repeated. There are 8 of those letters, right? 5 and 3, 8. So that's 8 factorial. For the remaining arrangements, divided by the number of repetitions, you have 2 A's, you have 3 G's, 3 factorial because of that, and you have 2 E's as well. Result. What's this? What's the answer? What do we get for this?
It's a 1680.
1680. This is what we get. 1680. All right, let's look at the next one now. Find the number of different ways that the 9 letters of the word aggregate can be arranged. If the 3 letters G are together, both letters A are together, and both letters E are together. Now, again, we've done such problems. We've done a number of such problems. Let's do this quickly. we want all of those identical letters together. Okay, so how many places do we have again? We had 9 places. We had 9 places. Now what we want is we want the three, what is that? Yeah, the 3 G's together. So there are 3 G's, we want them together. We put them in a single box. We have 3 G's. And we have both letters A and both letters E, they're also together. A's and E's are also together. We have 1 box for A and 1 box for E. And now we just find the arrangements. How many total boxes do we have? We have 5 boxes. All of them are different. 5 factorial for that. And that's it, because inke arrangements matter nahi karti hain. They're all identical. So it's just going to be 5 factorial. So it's just as simple as that. 5 factorial, that turns out to be 120. That's the second part. Okay? Boxes ke andar wali arrangements, they don't matter in this case. Part 3. The letters G, R, and T are consonants. And the letters A and E are vowels. Find the number of different ways that the 9 letters of the word aggregate can be arranged in a line of consonants and vowels occur alternately. Now, how many consonants do we have? We've got G, G, R, G, T. 5 of them, and then 4 are vowels. So consonants ko ends pe rakhenge, और vowels को दरम्यान में रखेंगे. So it's going to be like this. So we have consonant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have vowels in the middle, V1, V2, V3, and V4. Okay, so this is what we have for the vowels. Now, in how many ways can we arrange those consonants? We have 5 of them. We have 5 consonants. उनको हम 5 factorial ways में arrange कर सकते हैं, right? There are 5 places and 5 consonants. But now, how many of them are identical? 5 factorial में से कितने identical हैं? Aggregate was the word. So there are 3 G's. We have 3 factorial because of 3 G's. And that's it. 3 G's आ रहे हैं. उसकी वजह से आपने 3 factorial से divide कर दिया. Then what about the 4 vowels? उसकी arrangements कितनी है? 4 factorial. But then how many of them are repeated? We have 2 A's and 2 E's. Because of that, we divide by 2 factorial and divide by 2 factorial again. And that gives us the result. What's this number?
120.
120. So that's the third part. Okay, so that was also pretty straightforward. The first 3 parts काफी आसान थे. Let's look at the last part. It says find the number of different selections of 4 letters of the word aggregate which contain exactly 2 G's or exactly 3 G's. Now we're talking about combinations. Selections की बात हो रही है. Right, आपने letters select करने हैं. In how many ways can we do the selection now? Let's think about this. We want exactly 2 G's or exactly 3 G's. And we have total 4 letters. Now remember, जब आपके पास combinations होते हैं, there is no way to handle combinations directly. Directly आप combinations को handle नहीं कर सकते. Combinations में जो repetitions होती हैं, उनको handle आप directly नहीं कर सकते. Remember what we used to do for this? इसके लिए आपको cases बनाने पड़ते हैं. आपको क्या चाहिए? आपको या तो चाहिए कि exactly 2 G's आ रहे हों या exactly 3 G's आ रहे हों. ठीक है? Now, what is the number of letters that we have? We have total 9 letters, but there are a number of letters which are repeated now, right? So that's going to be a bit complicated. Aggregate is the word. We have 9 letters in total. Let me actually just write them in an order like this. We have 2 A's, we have 2 E's, and we have 3 G's. Aggregate, we have R and T. These are the letters that we have. 2 A's, 2 E's, 3 G's, and then R and T. These are 9 letters that we have. Okay. Now, we want either exactly 2 G's or exactly 3 G's. इन दोनों में से कोई एक केस होना चाहिए. और टोटल कितने सेलेक्ट करने हैं? टोटल आपने सेलेक्ट करने हैं 4. Remember, we're talking about selections, not arrangements. लेकिन आपके पास 4 places in total उसमें उस selection के अंदर, right? 4 select कर सकते हैं. 4 से ज़्यादा नहीं select कर सकते. One possibility is that you select, let's say, 2 G's. This is one possibility. And another possibility is that you select 3 G's. ये 2 possible cases हैं. अगर आप 2 G select करते हो, अब बाकी 2 आपको select करने हैं किसमें से? बाकी letters में से. तो now we're not talking about G's. G's के तो हमने different cases बना लिए हैं. G's तो यहाँ से eliminate हो गए. उसकी बात ही नहीं, उनकी बात ही नहीं कर रहे. All right. अब बाकी letters में से आपको क्या करना है? 2 letters choose करने हैं first case में, और second case में आपको कितने choose करने हैं? आपको 1 letter choose करना. This is where you have some options now. All right. अब इसमें क्या क्या options हो सकते हैं? अब इसमें भी मसला है कि इसको आप directly अगर करो, आपके पास कितने letters हैं? 6 letters हैं. If you were to do 6C2, that would not work because all of these letters are not different. All right. So that is not going to work. What you might think of is कि अच्छा there are 4 different letters. तो हम ये कर लें कि 4C2 कर लें. Right? तो A, E, R, T, इनमें से 4 different letters choose कर लें. Okay? And in 4 में से 2 different letters choose कर लें. Yes, that's possible. That's one possibility. This is going to give you what? This is going to 4C2 is 6. ये आपके पास 6 आ गया. लेकिन इसमें भी एक मसला है अभी. वो ये है कि ये अकाउंट फॉर नहीं कर रहा कि ये भी हो सकता है कि 2 A's आ जाए आपके पास. राइट? इसमें ये तो नहीं आ सकता कि 2 A's आ जाए, और ये भी नहीं हो सकता कि 2 E's आ जाए. So there are 2 cases that we're missing here, which are that we could have 2 A's here. That's one possibility. Or we could have 2 E's here. That's another possibility. So total cases आपके पास कितने हो जाएंगे इसके पे? 8 cases in total. Where are these 6 coming from? These 6 are coming from this possibility that the 2 letters which are selected, they're both different. ठीक है? एक possibility ये है कि both different letters. This is one possibility. That gives you 6. But then there's also a possibility that you have 2 A's or 2 E's. केस ये दोनों हो गए. तो टोटल कितने केसेस बन गए आपके पास यहाँ पे? The total turns out to be 8 for this first scenario. All right. आप ये भी कर सकते थे इन सारे केसेस को लिस्ट डाउन ही कर लो. That's sometimes easier. There are not so many. आप इनको लिस्ट डाउन कर लें. क्या क्या हो सकते हैं? 2 letter combinations क्या हो सकते हैं? You could have A, E, A, R, A, T. ये सारे A के साथ बन गए. Then E, R, E, T. Then you have R, T. These are the options that you have for that first case. Okay. And then you have 2 A's and 2 E's. वो भी आप यहाँ पे list down कर लो. So you have 2 A's, एक ये possibility है, और 2 E's, एक ये possibility. If you were to list all of them down, वो भी आपके पास 8 ही आते हैं. You could do it either way. दोनों तरह से आप कर सकते हैं. आप पूरा list down कर लें सारे, या फिर आप इस तरह से कर लें. What about this case? What about this case where you have 3 G's? अब जब 3 G's आ गए हैं तो ये वाला केस तो आसान है. the last letter could be any one of the remaining 4 letters, right? 4 letters आपके पास है ना, इसमें repeat तो हो नहीं सकते हैं, एक ही letter यहाँ पे input करना है, and you have 4 other letters left, which are A, E, R, T. इनमें से you want to select one, right? So there are 4 options. You could say 4 C1 options, and that's 4 options. So you got 4 options here, and you had 8 options from that first case. So total number of selections कितनी होगी आपकी? इन दोनों को add कर दें, that's going to be the total number of selections. That's 4, 8 plus 4. What do we get from this? 12, and that's your final answer. Is that okay?
Yes.
Second case is AERT में से कुछ भी आ सकता है यहाँ पे, right? So there are 4 options there. So that's 12 in total. So combinations में क्योंकि आपके repetitions handle नहीं हो सकती directly, आपको cases बनाने पड़ते हैं उसके. अब यहाँ पे क्या है, G's भी repeat हो रहे हैं और फिर आगे A's भी repeat हो रहे हैं, E's भी repeat हो रहे हैं, तो इसमें फिर आपको बहुत सारे different cases बनाने पड़ते हैं. All right, so we need to find the number of different arrangements of the 11 letters in the word caterpillar. That's pretty straightforward. 11 factorial divided by the repetitions. You can see what are the repeated letters. R is coming twice and L is coming twice. Actually, don't repeat हो रहे हैं. So that's 11 factorial over 2 factorial over 2 factorial. What do we get from this?
A भी repeat हो रहा है.
Yeah.
A be repeated. Sorry about that. So A is also repeated. We also have A and A here. So it's 11 factorial over 2 factorial and 2 factorial and 2 factorial. And that is going to give you the result. What's this?
4, 9.
8, 9, 600.
4, 9,
8, 9,
8, 9.
600.
4, 9, 8, 9, and then
600.
600.
600. Okay. 4, 9, 8, 9, 600. That's the number of arrangements that we get in the first part. Okay. Now let's look at the next one. Now it says find the total number of arrangements of the 11 letters in the word caterpillar in which there's an R at the beginning and an R at the end and the 2 A's are not together. So now we've got 2 conditions. एक तो R start में होना चाहिए और एक R end पे होना चाहिए. There are 2 R's. अब देखिए R's को तो आपने fix कर दिया. अब आप ये समझ लें कि R's निकल गया आपकी equations, right? So R's are gone. We're not considering them anymore. ये आपका निकल गया. We're not considering that. We're not considering this. अब बाकी 9 letters को आपने arrange करना, right? So R's तो आपने handle कर लिया already, ठीक है? दरमियान में आपके पास 9 letters हैं, उनमें you want that the 2 A's are not together. Now you could either find the total arrangements and then subtract from that the case where the 2 A's are together, or you could do that lines वाला method जिसमें आप कहते हैं जो जिनको नहीं separate करना उनको पहले place कर दें, किनको नहीं separate करना है यहाँ पे C, they've got C and T, E, P, I, L, L, and that's it, right? So there are 7 other boxes. A's को निकाल के, remember there are 2 A's, and there are 7 other letters. 2 R's तो हमने अलग से कर ली. उन 7 के boxes बन गए यहाँ पे. इन 7 boxes की arrangement देखने का, हम देखेंगे A's कहाँ पे place कर सकते हैं. A यहाँ पे आ सकता है, इधर आ सकता है, इधर आ सकता है. इन places में आपके A's आ सकते हैं. ठीक है. तो अब in boxes के arrangements, there are 7 boxes, 7 factorial, but out of them we have 2 L's. ये repeat हो रहे हैं. इसकी वजह से आप क्या करोगे, 2 factorial divide कर दोगे इसको. And then you think about the number of range of these two A's जो आप यहाँ पे place करोगे अब दरम्यान में, right? There, how many gaps are there? There are 8 gaps. That's going to be 8 C2 directly if you wanted to do it like that, or you could say 8 P2. 8 में से 2 positions पे आप A's को place कर सकते हो, but since those two A's are identical, you divide by 2 factorial because of that. Okay, and that's going to give you the result. ये क्या आता है?
Wait, sir, could you explain
This is
why number
70560.
70560. Okay, sorry. What was the question? Repeat what?
So I was asking why did you multiply this by 8p2 over 2 factorial? Could you explain that?
There are 8 places for the 2 A's that are left. The 2 A's हैं, ये यहाँ पे gaps place करने because you want them to be separated, right? तो इनको आपने यहाँ पे gaps में डाल, अब जब gaps में डालेंगे तो there are 8 gaps, there are 8 places. Out of them you have to arrange A's in 2 of those places. Okay, so that's 8p2, but since some of them are identical, we divide by 2 factorial because of that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, let's look at the last part now. Now it says find the total number of different selections of letters from the 11 letters. Now we're talking about selections. The order does not matter here. 11 में से 6 letters select करने that contain both R's and at least one A and at least one L as well. Now let me write that down here. The word is caterpillar. So what we want is we want both R's and at least one A and at least one L. That means out of these 6 letters, you are basically telling, you're basically saying 2 R's already selected. Okay, so they have to be selected, the 2 R's. Now there has to be at least one A. So A to already select. Okay, that A is also selected. And you have to have at least one L. One L is also selected. This is already done. ये सारे already selected है. ठीक है? Now, how many remaining places do we have in this selection? 2 letters आपने और select करने हैं बस. 2 letters और select करने हैं out of the remaining. Now we have taken out 2 R's. So R is eliminated from here. R is eliminated from here. One of A's is gone and one of L's is gone. What are the remaining letters now? C, T, E, P, I, L, A. Now these are all different letters. These are all different letters. Out of these 7 letters, you need to select 2. 2 select करने हैं यहाँ पे. देखिए ये वाले 4 already select हो चुके हैं. ठीक है, उन 7 में से आपको 2 और select करना है. What's that going to be? 7 C2. Evaluate this. What does it turn out to be? 7
21.
21.
21, and that's your answer. That's 4 marks. Just doing this. 7C2. This is one possibility. दूसरी पे है कि आप बहुत सारे cases बनाओ. अच्छा, कब आपके पास 2 R's और so one possibility would be R और आपके पास एक A आ रहा हो, एक L आ रहा हो, right? फिर आपको R 2 A's आ जाएं, एक L आ जाए, फिर R and 1 A and 2 L's, and then R A L. But you don't really have to do all of that. आपको ये सब करने की नहीं जरूरत. आपको पता है कि जब आपने ये already select कर लिया हुआ है, आपने ये already select कर लिया हुआ है. 2 R's are already selected. 1 A and 1 L are already selected. अब बाकी ऑप्शन किस में रहेगी? ऑप्शन इन 7 letters में रहेगी, and they are all different. इसमें केस में आने की जरूरत नहीं है because they're all different. You have 7 letters. Out of those 7 letters, you have to choose 2. That's a 7C2, and you get the result from that directly. Make sense? Any problem with this?
Sir, अगर for example इसके अंदर 2 T's होते तो फिर total में difference क्या होता?
अगर 2 T's होते फिर आपको क्या करना पड़ता, फिर आपको T's के लिए केसेस बनाने पड़ते। तो अगर फॉर एग्जांपल अब बाकी लेटर्स ये होते CTEPILA, अब आपको क्या करना पड़ता, आपके पास जो बाकी इनफैक्ट एक और T था, you have another T now, okay? Now for the remaining 2 letters you would have 3 cases. एक केस होता कि उसमें कोई भी T ना आता, no T, राइट? तो फिर बाकी 6 में से आपको कितने सेलेक्ट करने होते हैं? 2 सेलेक्ट करने होते हैं। एक केस होता है कि एक T आ जाता है और दूसरा आपको नहीं पता क्या है, ओके? तो फिर बाकी कितने लेटर्स हैं? 6 में से आपको एक सेलेक्ट करना। एक केस होता है कि 2 T's आ गए, वो तो एक ही पॉसिबल केस है और कोई सिलेक्शन रही नहीं, सो दैट्स 6C0, बाकी 6 में से आपको कोई भी नहीं सेलेक्ट करना। इन तीनों को ऐड कर लेते हैं, वो आपके पास तीनों के साथ अगर 2 T's होते फिर, लेकिन यहाँ पे सारे डिफरेंट थे तो वी कुड जस्ट डू दैट डायरेक्टली, इसमें केसेस बनाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी। मेक सेंस?
Yes, sir.